Hello everyone, my name's Tina Smith. I'm so glad you're joining me today. Today I have a couple more projects to share with you. We're using the Queen & Co. Heartfelt Holiday Kit. I've created a couple of projects with this kit a while back and I thought we'd create a couple more. I love the Santa in here and I also love the cocoa mug, so that's what we're going to be using. And we're going to go ahead and jump in and get started. I went ahead and went through my Heartfelt Holiday 6x6 mat stack and we picked out 3 different colors of pattern papers here to create both of our projects today. What we're going to do is die cut out everything and then we'll jump into our first project. I mentioned we want to make a hot cocoa mug, and so I'm going to take that die and we're going to die cut that out with our green pattern paper. And then we have the Santa. I'm going to die cut this out with some white cardstock. I'm also going to take that bow and we're going to create a white bow, and I'm also going to die cut it out with a green cardstock. We're going to create a green and white bow. I'm using the red pattern paper for the Santa hat, and then there's a snowflake die in here. I'm going to use this with white cardstock and we're going to die cut out maybe 5 or 6 snowflakes. I thought we'd create a snowflake filled background for our card today. For our cocoa cup, I thought we'd put a couple of candy canes in there. We'll die cut this out, and what I'm going to do with this candy cane die is die cut it out with the red pattern paper and also with the white cardstock. We have Santa's mustache. We'll die cut out with white cardstock, and also Santa's cap. We'll die cut that out. I'm going to take this piece here is for Santa's face. I'm going to take that and die cut it out with white cardstock. If you have a skin tone cardstock, you could use that, but I'm going to use some alcohol markers to color in the eyes and the nose and then the face for our Santa today. Now, Santa's cap, there is a place on it here where you can add a pom-pom or a ball, but instead I'm going to use this die here. This die is really pretty. It's actually made for the poinsettia, but it looks like a snowflake almost. So I'm going to take this and use that for Santa's pom-pom. And that's about it. We're going to use this for our background, but I'm going to run everything through my die cut machine and we'll get started with our first project. I have everything die cut out. Now we're going to first create our candy cane. I had did one already and I'll show you how I made this. I die cut out the candy cane base with the red pattern paper. What we're going to do is flip this around, and then I have some strips of white cardstock. What we're going to do is use the tape runner, add some adhesive behind here, and then I'm going to tack this to the back of the candy cane. I'm just making sure that that cardstock behind there is not overhanging. Since we put adhesive behind here, now what we can do is do a little bit of inlaying. So that is where our white comes in. Since we have adhesive, all we have to do is tack that down. And our candy cane is good to go. Now, if you wanted to do the same exact thing with the white, since we have leftover, you could very well do that too. Now we're going to create our bow. What I'm going to do is gently fold over the wing portion of the bow here. This just helps keep the bow dimensional, and then I'll use my glue and I'll add a little bit of glue to the center, and we're going to fold both of these ends right in the middle. Just tack it down. And then I'll add a little bit more glue down that middle, and then I'm going to wrap the bow middle around the front and the back, and then there's our bow. We'll put that with the candy canes. Now for my card base, I went ahead and embossed a background on an A2 card front. So we have a little bit of texture in there. This has circles on it. And then I trimmed down 2 pieces of cardstock. This one measures 3 inches by 4 1/4 tall. And then this one measures 3 inches wide by 5 inches tall. What we're going to do is layer both of these together. We'll just tack these down. And then with our snowflakes, I'm going to add some glue behind here, and we're going to fill in the background with our snowflakes. So we have a background filled with our snowflakes. I wasn't worried about the metal because that's going to be covered with our cocoa mug. I'm going to flip over this panel. We're going to add some adhesive behind here. And then we're going to tack this all the way to the top. Okay, we have a piece of vellum that I cut out with a circle die. And what we're going to do is take our shaker foam. I'll remove the inside piece. I'm going to go ahead and remove the release paper off the back. And I'm going to tack this right down the center of my circle here. And I think that's a great spot for it. I'm going to use my tape runner. We're going to add some adhesive behind the inside piece, and we will just tack this down. And then we'll take our acetate. In our kit, we have lots of toppings here. Let's go ahead and fill our mug with some of our... We're going to fill our mug with some peppermint candies and also some of the tan or the green candies. And then we put some of our pearls in there also. Okay, I'm going to remove the release paper. And then making sure that my acetate is right side up, we're going to flip it around and we're going to tack it to the bottom. And our shaker bits are nice and enclosed. Okay, I'm going to use my tape runner. I'm going to add some adhesive to the outline of our cocoa bug. And we're going to tack this down. Now what I'm going to do is take a little piece of this extra foam and I'm going to put it behind the handle. Just so we have a little more stability there. That's the great thing about the extra pieces. Okay, I'm going to flip this around and we're going to add some adhesive behind here. And then I'm going to tack this down in the center of that snowflake pattern paper. I'm going to go ahead and stamp the greeting in our stamp set that says Happy Hot Chocolate Weather. I'm going to stamp it with black ink on a strip of white cardstock. So we have our greeting, and I trimmed it down so it's a 3-inch strip so we could put it the length of this, and we're going to cover the seam with our greeting here. I'm going to crisscross the candy canes here, and then we'll add a little more adhesive to the back, and then we're going to attach this to the front of our mug at the very top. And then I'm going to take my bow and a little bit of glue, and we're going to add our bow to those candy canes. And then for finishing touches, I'm going to bring in some of my iridescent bubbles, and I'm just going to add a few to the front of our card here. We'll just add a little splash of green on our card, and then that will finish card number 1. For my next card, I trimmed out a slightly larger piece of vellum that we could put Santa on. So what we're going to do is take our shaker foam, and we'll go ahead and punch out that middle. I'll remove the release paper here, And we will tack down Santa. And then I have the inside piece. We're going to add some adhesive and we're going to tack this down on the inside. We're going to use those same toppings to fill in Santa. I'm going to go ahead and remove the release paper off of the foam. And then we will add our acetate. We're going to take the outline and go ahead and add some adhesive behind here, and we will place that on the very front of our shaker. I love the stitch detail that Santa has. Okay, we have the Santa cap that goes here. I am going to use the leftover piece of foam, and we're going to add that behind the hat, just to give it a little stability. And then we will tack down Santa's hat here. Okay, now for Santa, we have his face here. And then I also have my little eyes and my nose. What we're going to do is take some scratch paper here. And I'm going to use some alcohol markers and just color in Santa's face here. Okay, so I rosied up Santa's cheeks here. We're going to flip this around, and then I did color in his eyes. We're going to go ahead and add some adhesive, and I'm going to add this to the shaker, and it floats right on the top. And then I'll take his stash, and we will add this. And then we can go ahead, and I am going to add a little bit of dimension to his nose. So we're going to bring in a small foam square. I'm going to use a couple dots of glue for Santa's eyes, and then we can add those. So cute. Okay, I'm going to take, this is the poinsettia center. I'm going to go ahead and add some adhesive behind here and tack that down as Santa's pom-pom here. I love that little snowy look. Okay, and then we have the cuff of Santa's hat. We'll go ahead and add that. Before we create our background, I do want to create my bow. Now this is two-tone. So rather than bringing the bow forward like this, I'm going to flip it to the back. This way, for the most part, it's green. Let me show you. So for the most part, our bow is green. Now for my background today, I thought we would take the same pattern papers that we were using, and what we're going to do is I created small rectangles with them. We're going to layer all three of these together to create some panels. All four of my little tiles are all done, and I'm going to place them on an embossed background that I embossed an A2 size card front with. We're going to go ahead and add these, evenly spacing them on the front of our card. So we have 4 tiles adhered. I'm going to take my Santa shaker. I'm going to add adhesive just behind Santa so it doesn't show on the vellum. We're going to add Santa right in the middle. And then we're going to stamp our sentiment. I'm going to stamp the greeting in our stamp set that says, "Wishing you everything on your list." I'm going to stamp this with black ink on a piece of white cardstock. We're going to go all the way to the left with this. Wishing you everything that's on your list. I went ahead and popped this up with some foam tape. So we're going to remove the release paper. I went ahead and scooted up my Santa just a little bit. We're going to tack down our greeting across the very bottom. And then we're going to take our bow. I'm going to add a little bit of glue behind here. And then I'm going to tack it down next to my greeting. We'll hold that down, and then I'm going to bring in some more gems. We're going to use some iridescent bubbles. I'm going to add one to Santa's hat. And then I'm also going to add one to the bow for a little added sparkle. And that will finish off that card. So here's both cards that we made today using the Heartfelt Holiday Kit from Queen & Co. I hope this gives you a little bit of inspiration on how to use the kit. Thanks so much for joining me. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.